What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to talk about how to make one of these, your own holiday cards. So let's do it. Oh, first things first, go ahead and like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be the first to know when I upload new videos. All right, let's go. Okay, so what you're gonna need, obviously, for this tutorial is Adobe Photoshop. You'll also need the photo or drawing that you want to use. We set up a tree and put our son right in front of it, and then we took a few pictures of him with our mirrorless camera, and we took some with our iPhone too. If you don't have a mirrorless camera or a DSLR, you can do this with the camera phone, and the light and the photos will still turn out pretty good. So after you get the photo you want to use, you're going to import it into a Photoshop document. Our particular postcard was a 5x7, which is like a standard size, but it's also on the larger side. Most times people go with 4x6s, but it's really up to you. Just remember that if you're going to be putting these in the envelopes, then you have to make sure that it fits into the size of an envelope that you can buy. So now that I have my picture open and my document open, I'm gonna just drag and drop the picture right into the document by clicking down and holding the button onto the photo and then dragging it into the document tab. You might have to resize it to your liking. Unfortunately, if you do a 5x7 or a 4x6, more than likely it's gonna crop your photo down a little bit. So you should plan ahead with your pictures in anticipation of some of it being left off the final product. What I'm gonna do now is add a border onto the document. If you use the marquee tool, it's the fastest, but it's less accurate. So what I do is go to select and then all, and then that will select the entire document. Next, what I want to do is go to select and then modify and then contract. And that will allow us to bring the marquee lines inwards a little bit more. Next, we're going to go to edit and then stroke. And then I want to do about 20 pixels on the stroke. You can change the color here as well. This will place a border around my document. Next, what I'm going to do is go to my border layer, and then I'm going to go to the layer style effects. You can also do this by double clicking directly on the layer. I'm going to add another stroke on top of my border, and this time I'm going to make it green instead of red. I don't want it to stand out too much, so I'm going to lower the opacity and change the blend mode to screen. Of course, you can make it with whatever options you like, and then once you're ready, just hit OK. Now let's move on to the text. Find a nice font that you want to use. I wanted to go with a cursive handwriting style. To me, it just felt like it matched the theme of the holiday. My text was hard to read over the photo, so I decided to add a drop shadow by double clicking on the text layer and opening up the layer style menu. Next, I check drop shadow. Then make it whatever color you like. I thought red looked really nice. Play around with the options though until you find the one that best suits you and your photo. This is how you would set the postcard up if you were going to send it without an envelope. For the left side, it would have space for you to write a message. And then on the right side, it would have space for the stamp and for you to write the recipient's address. But since I'm going to be placing ours in an envelope, I'm going to design it without the divider in the middle. For the back, I wanted to have a winter themed pattern going on in the background. So I grabbed a Christmas pattern from Envato Elements. If you have an account there, you can grab one as well. Or if you don't, you can make a background on your own, or use another photo, or you can find some free ones online. Just do a Google search of Christmas Photoshop patterns. Okay, so next I wanted to open up our pattern by double clicking on the background layer and then going to the pattern overlay option. Click the drop down arrow on your pattern and then click the cog. Next, you're going to go to import pattern and then find the pattern you just downloaded. You can adjust the opacity and the scale of it, and once you're satisfied, just click OK. I wanted mine to be green instead of blue, and I wanted it to be kind of faint so that we could still write a personal message on each card. So the first thing I did was play with the opacity. Next, I added a hue saturation layer and then I slid the hue slider until I got the color that I was looking for. I knew we'd be writing on here, so I decided to put a mask on the pattern layer and brush away the center a little bit more with the airbrush. Next, realizing that I actually wanted this to be vertical instead of horizontal, I rotated all my options to the right with the free transform tool. You can select that. You can use that tool by pressing Command T with any layer selected, and then you can make things larger, smaller, or rotate around. Oops. Next, I prepared it for printing. On an 11 by 17 size document, I dragged my front side onto there. And then I duplicated the layer with Command J and patterned it onto the page that made it a rectangle like so. Make sure the edges come together exactly so that there's no white space in between each card. I then repeated the same process with the back side. Now with both documents open, I went to File and then Automate and then PDF. Save your file and be sure to only have the two 11 by 17 documents open. This will create a PDF that contains both files. Next, since I don't have a printer, I had to take them to FedEx Print, and then I asked for the thickest cardstock paper, and once they were printed, I cut them down. Now you're all set. If you have any questions or comments, you can just leave them below. I appreciate you guys watching as usual. Have a happy holiday this year. Peace out.